Hey everybody, welcome back to Mr. 4570. I came across this the other day because it became a necessity for me to have it. It's a bullet puller. It's made by Lyman. There are various companies that make them. And the reason that I needed it is I had loaded up 100 bullets with a couple different powders, and I had loaded them up with different charges, and I was going to test them. And this was before winter, so like 6 months ago. And eventually I got too nervous to shoot them. And so that's why I didn't shoot them for a while. But then eventually I did get out and I did shoot them. And it turned out that I was ending up with high pressure signs before I was able to get through the rest of my bullets. And in the past, what I had done, you know, in that scenario is I would grab some pliers and I'd just try and break the brass and get the bullet out so that it wouldn't hurt anybody, and then obviously lose my piece of brass. And so I was thinking that that's what I was going to have to do with all these. But luckily I came across this bullet puller, which works really well at getting your bullet out of the brass and the powder too if you want to reuse it. And you get to save your piece of brass. And apart from it being useful to save your brass, it's also useful so that you're not at home loading up some bullets and you don't have to stay conservative. You can load up your bullets and you can go and, you know, your 0.1 grain increments as high as you want to go, and then you can go to the range and you can just start shooting until you get powder signs. And at that point you can just take the rest of the bullets that you weren't able to shoot, come home, pull them out, reuse everything, instead of loading them up only to a certain point, going and shooting, knowing that that's all really safe. I think I could go more. You go back home, you load up some more bullets, and then you go shoot them again. You know, oh, well, I can go again. You know, instead of having to repeat the process of loading and shooting a little and loading and shooting a little, you can load all the way up the biggest range that you want of powder, go shoot until you see powder signs, and then just pull the rest of your bullets, and then you know what you're at. So let's go over how to use this really quick, because I really do think that it's a neat tool and definitely something that every reloader should have. And I've been reloading for a couple years, and I literally just bought it, and I've, you know, before that I had wasted 20, 30 good pieces of brass because I didn't know about them, because I'm kind of silly like that. Anyways, basically it's this hammer, and it comes with a little metal piece and then a cap. So you take the bullet, you slide the metal piece over it until it stops at the edge. Then you put that into your hammer and you screw down the cap. And then you just whack it against a solid surface. I tried to do this on my table. It wouldn't get the bullets out because the table kept giving too much. And you can see your bullet popped out, your powder popped out. Go ahead and dump that out of there. You save your piece of brass, which is still in perfect condition. I mean, you can resize it and everything, but you could reuse the primer, you know, if they haven't been sitting for very long. You could reuse the powder if you remember what type of powder it was. And the bullets as well are in the exact same condition as they were before you put them in, so you can reuse those. Go ahead and do another demonstration really quick. So you put your thingy on your bullet until it stops, put that on the end, screw down the lid nice and tight. Give it a couple whacks until the bullet pops out with the powder. Go ahead and dump it out. You save your piece of brass, you save your primer, you save your bullet, and you save your powder. So once again, I thought I'd make a quick video on this. I feel kind of silly that I just barely got one. Could have saved me a lot of pieces of brass, and knowing brass is like 50 cents a piece, it's a good little bit of money. But it'll help you save your brass if you load something up too hot. And if you're just too nervous to shoot it, you know, you can pull it out and load it lighter and then shoot that first. Or if you don't want to have to make a million trips back and forth to the range, loading up a couple of charges and shooting them, and then loading up a couple charges higher and then shooting them, you can just load up from the beginning all the way up to way past where you might think it's safe, and then just go shoot until you see pressure signs and then pull the rest of them. So yeah, really neat tool. This one's from Lyman. Lots of different companies make bullet pullers. They're between 10 and 20 bucks.